Hi there! How the heck are you? This is Tom the Beer Whisperer, and I don't even know if you can see me. I'm just a bit of a shadow. I stepped outside to do this here. This is a very hot Labor Day today, and it is a little after, well, it's later afternoon, and I usually start having a beer, let's just say. And you just heard me crack one. I meant to pull it up here. The question was, would be the first beer to have today? Well, right now I just wanted something that was very cold. So I just popped an Old Olympia. And before some of you start scratching your heads and wiggling your noses, there's a reason for this one. And if you've seen any of my stuff before, you already know what I'm going to tell you next. Usually on these holidays, I like to tip one in honor of my dad, and this is what he used to drink, Olympia. I always have one on Veterans Day because he was in World War II in Korea and received a Bronze Star for World War II. But I figured he deserved something for Labor Day as well. So this is what he used to drink, Olympia. And it's kind of fallen into that bargain beer category these days, but back in the 60s and 70s, this was one of the main beers. It was served in all bars, and it was on tap in many. It wasn't that bargain beer. It was in the same league as any American beer was. It's currently brewed by Pabst, but then it was its own entity. Is it a great beer with tons of flavor? No, it's not. It is what it is, right? It's that typical American adjunct lager. It is probably, well, excuse me. It's a sentimental thing for me, obviously, because that's what my dad drank. Oh, wowzer. But truthfully, I do believe it's better than many American macros. I mean, I certainly like it better than drinking a Bud, for instance. Uh, It goes down much smoother. It's crisper and cleaner. I think it's a much better beer. I certainly think it's better than PBRs, even though it's brewed by Pabst. Pabst itself is just loaded with corn syrup, and this doesn't finish near as lazy as Pabst does. Mm. Oh, wow. Ooh, wow, drinking with the beer whisper. Oh, wowzer. When I was a youngster, my dad owned a catering truck business in California, and we're talking the late 60s, early 70s in California. I was born in 65, and there was a big construction boom out there, so he did all the construction sites. I just remember having very early memories, 3, 4 years old, going with him on the truck and helping him take money. I mean, I learned how to operate a change belt when I was 3, 4 years old. So it was great as a kid. We just kind of sit in the truck, and it was a lot of fun. When I was about 7, he sold the small catering truck and bought a used, what they called them at the time, hot trucks. What they call them now, food trucks. But then they were called hot trucks. They were basically the larger truck that had the kitchen in it. On the back, it had Burger King painted on the back. It was known in the area. It sure was. I have people today still, when they find out who I am, say, "Oh, your dad had the Burger King truck." Yep, that was him. And that was, it was painted that on there before the burger chain. So, he was able to keep it on there. So I remember as a kid, becoming quite adept, in the fry cook business. Generally, while they were working, my mom did all the cooking. Dad drove from site to site, and then he would take orders and take money. When I went with him, I would help. I would generally help prep and take money as well. It's funny. My son Seamus shakes his head because I say the same things over and over again. Things used to be done a certain way, when you start pulling up onto the job sites, Mom would start chucking burgers up onto the flat top. And then you start prepping the buns, you know. I mean, everything was cooked to order, but you wanted to make sure they were ready. These guys don't have a lot of time, so as soon as you pull on the job sites, you just fill that full of burgers. And you know, sometimes you were, you know, if you thought you were going to be short, you put more on, and if you had some extra, well, you just did. You know, and that's what I got to eat. Was if we had another couple there, you know, Tom gets a double burger. But anyway, yeah, you know, it's funny. I criticize various restaurants and chains for doing things wrong these days. I actually couldn't remember how to do it now, but I used to be able to wrap it into wax papers, you know, but I don't even remember the technique now, to be honest with you, but I used to be pretty good at it. But, you know, you used to line up, you get your buns out, you get your burgers on a grill, boom, 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 and then you line your buns out. Well, you always dress the bottom bun. Why? Well, because, you know, you set up like assembly line. You've got to get the burgers off, get it quick, get them out to the guys. So you always dress the bottom, but now it seems like they put the dressings on top. That's why your burger, when you try to eat it, just flops all over the place. But you always dress the bottom bun. You put the cheese on top of the burger when it was almost done. Then you put that top bun on top of the cheese on the burger, and that kind of melts together. And then you pick it up, and then you know, it was like, again, it's like an assembly line. You know, you put the cheese, top bun, put it on the bottom bun, and then you put it together. Then you're able to eat, and that burger stays together. And that's why, you know, you got, if you got toppings on the top, bottom bun, and on the top bun, which is how most places do it now. They put some on top, some on bottom. You know, it's all over the place. Also, most places don't even melt the cheese on the burger anymore. They wait till that burger's done, flop your cheese on it, and there you go. It's shameful. But I also want to honor my mom, too, because she did a lot of work on that truck. Of course, this is what she drank in her day, too. You know, so I kind of, you know, I've learned how to pace myself and drink differently over the years. Of course, you know, most kids, when you first start drinking in your early 20s, it's all about getting drunk and getting drunk fast. As you get to be my age, it's more about having a good time while you're drinking and maintaining. So I've learned to pace myself over the years. But my dad was kind of one of those drinkers. He was either, you know, he either drank a 12-pack or he drank nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, he wasn't the 2, 3, 4 beer or stop. You know, he I don't know if I ever heard my dad say that's enough. I'm good. You know? My dad, if he went to the bar, he was in. My dad was all in all the time. He either drank nothing or drank everything. That's the kind of guy he was. I did keep it in the can. Why? Well, because, again, that's how my dad drank these things. And, you know, I've done a couple of reviews on Olympia. You don't really need to see me pour this into a glass and do the whole beer geek thing, because it's really not that type of beer. This is, again, this was a working class beer, you know, back in the, you know, way back when. This is what my dad drank in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s until it became something else. But, you know, that's why I wanted to have one of these first in kind of honor of all that. And I'm going to get on to my better beer. But sometimes it's nice just to pay homage. I was hot and thirsty. Thought, well, let's start here. That's a good place to start. Well, hey, you've listened to me bramble on just like we were all sitting in a pub together on Labor Day. That was my sentimental moment. I'm going to get on to some better beers. But, hey, thanks for drinking with the Beer Whisperer. I appreciate y'all.